what was that person? What did that person have that motivated Jesus? Well, not motivated, but that healed them. Jesus said, "Your what has made you well?" Who can tell me?
Repeat it again, mister. I don't hear.
So Jesus said in the last week we had Bible class, he said, "Your blank has made you well."
That he healed him for his faith.
His faith. His faith has made you well. Good job. All right, we're going to learn about 2 more examples about how faith has healed someone, okay? Where's it at? Here it is. All right, we're going to be reading in Mark 5:21 through 43. All right. Let's read it real fast. So it says, Jesus got into the boat again and went back to the other side of the lake, where a large crowd gathered around him on the shore. Then a leader of the local synagogue, which is kind of like the local, not church, but the local temple, yeah, whose name was Jairus, or Jairus, arrived. When he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet, pleading fervently with him. "My little daughter is dying," he said. "Please come and lay your hands on her. Heal her so she can live." Let me see. Do I have this right version? Yeah, I do. All right. Jesus went with him, and all the people followed, crowding around him. So at this point, Jesus is famous. So everyone knows who he is, and so they're following him around. They're surrounding him. A woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding, so she would just be bleeding all the time. That does not sound fun. She had suffered a great deal from many doctors, and over the years, she had spent everything she had to pay them, but she had gotten no better. In fact, she had gotten worse. Okay, so at that time, like, we go to the doctor here, and you go, have a cough, like, okay, take this medicine. Or it hurts right here. It's like, oh, let me feel, you have a bump right here. Let's do something, okay? Back then, if you were sick, it was a guess. You had a cough, they might, I don't know, stick their hand down your throat. I don't know what they would do, but it's not as advanced right now. So it's not as special as it is right now, because it's just not. It's not. And so, she suffered a lot. So she said, "I'm bleeding." They probably made her worse, to be honest. They probably made her worse. Actually, it says, in fact, she had gotten worse. She had heard about Jesus, so she came up behind him through the crowd and touched his robe. For she thought to herself, if I can just touch his robe, I will be healed. So there's a bunch of people around. He's probably is. I view her like an old lady, but she's pushing her way through, and she just has to reach out and touch his robe, just his clothes, not even him, his clothes. Immediately, when she touched them, the bleeding stopped, so she could feel in her body that she had been healed from her terrible condition. Jesus realized at once that healing power had gone out from him, so he turned around in the crowd and asked, "What touched my robe?" His disciples said to him, "Look at the crowd pressing around you. How can you ask, 'Who touched me?'" So everyone's around him, but he says, "Who touched me?" And the disciples are like, "Jesus, who is not touching you? Everyone is touching you. Look at the crowd." But he kept on looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, frightened, trembling at the realization of what had happened to her, came and fell to her knees in front of him and told him what she had done. After he had said to her, he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Your suffering is over." While he was still speaking to her, messengers arrived from the home of Jairus, the leader of the synagogue. They told him, "Your daughter is dead. There's no use troubling the teacher now." But Jesus overheard them and said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid. Just have faith." Then Jesus stopped the crowd and wouldn't let anyone go in with him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw much commotion and weeping and wailing, was crying. He went inside and asked, why all this commotion and weeping? The child isn't dead, she's only asleep. The crowd laughed at him, but he made them all leave, and he took the girl's father and mother and his 3 disciples into the room where the girl was lying. Holding her hand, he said, Talitha kum, which means, little girl, get up. And the girl, who was 12 years old, immediately stood up and walked around. They were overwhelmed and totally amazed. Jesus gave them strict orders not to tell anyone what had happened, and then he told them to give her something to eat. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Start with this. All right, Jesus is in a boat. Okay, Jesus got into the boat and went to the other side of the lake. So previously he was on one side of the lake, then he decided to go back. So there's a man from the local synagogue. What is this man's name? What's the man's name?
Jairus.
Jairus. Very good. It was Jairus. He was a leader. And so he saw Jesus and he fell at his feet. Okay. When you fall at someone's feet, it means you have no more hope. You're desperate. And he says, please come. My little daughter is dying. Please come and lay your hands on her. Heal her so she can live. So what did he have in that moment? He had 2 things. Both of them start with the letter F. See if you can guess. Anderson, what did he have?
What, mister?
He had 2 things.
Fell at his feet.
Make sure you guys are paying attention. He had 2 things in this moment. And then both of them start with the F. He fell down.
Fervently.
No, it's not. You can't read it there.
Mm.
The word. You have to think.
Forgiven.
No, you have to think beyond what you're reading. My little daughter is dying. He fell at his feet. My little daughter is dying. Please come and lay your hands on her. Heal her so she can come. What does he think is going to happen to his daughter? What did you say?
Faith.
Faith. First one is faith. He had faith because he believed that Jesus could heal. And the second one, what did he think was going to happen? If Jesus did not come, what did he think would happen to his daughter?
Yo.
If Jesus did not come, what did he think would happen to his daughter?
With the F2.
No, that doesn't start with the F. But what do you think will happen to his daughter?
Die.
She would die. How do you think he feels knowing his daughter might die?
Felt sad.
That
Yes.
or afraid? He has fear and faith. Fear is the other one that starts with the F. He's afraid that he thinks his daughter's going to die, but he has faith that, okay, Jesus can heal. So now imagine that. You have something that you really, really need, that you really, really want, and you're not sure if you can get it. And then Jesus comes and you see him and you ask him, please, you fall on your knees, you beg him, please come and heal my daughter. And so he says, okay. But all of a sudden, people start to see that he's there. They start crowding him, start coming around him. And then a woman comes. A woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding. She suffered a long time from doctors. She gave everything to pay them, and nothing made her better. It made her worse. She also heard about Jesus. She heard that Jesus could heal. So she came and touched his robe. She just touched his robe. And so, because she thought, if I can just touch his robe, I will be healed. Immediately, the bleeding stopped, and she could feel in her body that she had been healed of her terrible condition. So, obviously, there might have been some pain or something, But all of a sudden, it's gone because she touches his robe. So she gets healed as well. And what did she have? I think one thing that starts with the F.
Faith.
Faith. She had faith as well because she believed if I only just touch his robe. I don't even have to touch him. He doesn't even have to touch me. I can just touch just his robe. Just his robe. That'd be good enough. But Jesus realized the healing power had gone out of him. So he says, who touched my robe? And then his disciples are saying, Jesus, who is not touching you? Everyone is touching you. Look at the crowd. And he kept looking around. And then she gets afraid because she thinks, uh-oh, I've done something wrong. I touched him. I'm healed. I don't really know. I don't know. It's just too much for me right now. And so she falls to her knees in front of him. And she tells him what she's done. And he said, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Your suffering is over. So Jesus responded to what? What did he respond to? Her what?
He placed it earnestly with him, my little Anna. So Jesus went with him.
No. In verse,
Don't be afraid.
how did he respond? What did he respond to? Her what? What healed her?
Your
Read it, Luis Mario. Verse 34.
your daughter is dead, where is not trouble.
Verse 34. Right here.
Go in peace, your suffering is over.
You've read everything but what I want you to read. Right here.
Your daughter,
Your faith has made you well.
Okay.
Go in peace. Your suffering is over.
What healed her?
What, mister?
His faith.
Her faith. So because she was determined to get to Jesus, I just touch his clothes. And we can do the same thing. We can have faith that Jesus is going to heal. She believed Jesus is going to heal. I just have to touch him. And we can do the same thing. Jesus is going to do something. I just have to pray about it. So when we pray, we do the same thing. We come with the same faith. We say, Jesus, I just ask for this. Will you help me with this? Lord, you are a healer. I just declare that over my life. Okay, so now we deal with the older lady. She gets healed. What happens to the other guy? She was suffering, so the old lady was suffering from bleeding. But the guy, Jairus, his daughter was going to die. So all time is precious. All time is very important. For example, who has a pet?
me.
Or something like that. Or let's say your mom. Who loves your mom? Yeah? What happens if your mom was gonna die if we didn't hurry? How would you feel?
God.
Hurry up. We gotta go. Is that how you would feel?
Sad.
That's how I would say, hurry, let's go. And then Jesus stops to heal some lady, and I'm like, okay, let's go. All of a sudden, they start walking again. Actually, not even while they started walking. It says, while he was still speaking to her, messengers arrived from the home of Jairus, the leader of the synagogue. For example, say you're this guy, all right? And one of your family members or someone very important to you is going to die, and all of a sudden you see people from your house walking to you. What are you going to think? It's not good news. It's not good at all. So they get there and they told him, your daughter is dead. There's no use troubling the teacher now. So don't even bother him. There's no hope. So Jesus finishes talking to the girl, the lady, and Jesus overheard them and said to Jairus, don't be afraid, just have faith. You can see that faith just healed this girl. Don't be afraid, just have faith. Even though people said, she's dead, leave it alone, I think he's saying, guess what? I get to decide what happens. In your life, I have the final word. Okay? Then Jesus stopped and the crowd, Then Jesus stopped the crowd and wouldn't let anyone go with him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw much commotion, much activity, and weeping and wailing. So at that time, they had professional criers. So if something happened, they would hire people to go and cry with you. It doesn't make any sense. He went inside and he asked, why all this commotion and weeping? The child isn't dead, she's only asleep. How would you feel if someone said that? Say, she's not dead, she's only asleep. She's only asleep. And so they're there, they see that she died. The girl died. So they probably think, this guy is crazy. I don't know what he's talking about. So they laugh at him. The crowd laughed at him, but he made them all leave. And he took the girl's father and mother and his 3 disciples into the room where the girl was lying. Holding her hand, he said, Talitha kum, which means, little girl, get up. And the girl, who was 12 years old, immediately stood up and walked around. They were overwhelmed and totally amazed. Jesus gave them strict orders not to tell anyone what had happened, and he told them to give her something to eat. So, what did he say the little girl was doing? Who knows? She's not dead. She's what?
Sleeping.
Yeah, what's up? Very good. She's sleeping. And Caleb, what did he tell the little girl?
Sorry?
What did he tell the little girl?
Get up. And the girl, who was 2 years old, immediately stood up and walked around.
Very good. He told her to get up. But she wasn't asleep. She was dead. And he said, get up. And so she got healed. She was dead. So here's a couple things we can learn from this story. Number 1, always go to Jesus when we need something. 2, go with faith. Go trusting that he can do it. Number 3, Jesus has the final word in every situation. You guys are getting older and you guys are going to experience some things that you didn't experience when you were kids. You're going to have some tough situations, but we can always trust that Jesus has the final say in everything. For example, in my life wasn't easy, but Jesus had the final word in my life. So, number 1, who do we go to?
Jesus.
Samuel, who do we go to?
Jesus.
Samuel.
I'm sleepy.
Samuel, who do we go to?
Jesus.
Jesus, very good. And what do we have to have?
Faith.
Faith. And who has the final say in our life?
Jesus.
Jesus. All right. These are our
Questions.
Yeah, where did Joseph go? Why did he come back?
He left when we started. Joseph, sometimes he makes that up. Or every time, I think.
All right, these are the questions.
Oh my God.
We need to write the questions.
Y más si,
Yeah, right.
y más si llevaba rosquillitas.
Always we write it.
Yeah, Caleb.